On this episode of Where's the Line, we talk about a little bit of everything: George McIntyre, college football, really everything. But this is episode number 114. Let's get into it.
You are now listening to the Where's the Line podcast with Joseph West and Britt Dillard. Enjoy the show.
Milton gonna take a shot wide open and just strutting in is Keaton. Joe Milton does it again.
Borgie again on a blitz. Levis pocket collapses. He's on the run. He just heaves it up. And it's intercepted by Vanderbilt. And let the celebration begin. The streak is over at 26. The Commodores win it.
Talk about Vanderbilt football.
High fly, deep right, and Tennessee walks it off. Pandemonium in Knoxville. Center field, DeMarco. There to make the catch. Anchored down. Vanderbilt on top of the college baseball world again.
That's all I gotta say, and you're going to hell. Bye.
Another edition of Where's the Line. It is Tuesday, January 23rd, episode number 114. My name is Britt Dillard. I'm joined here by Joseph West as we enter where we've already been, but it's really starting to hit the off season. Joseph, how are you?
I'm good, Britt. My mic just kind of cut off. I have some technical difficulties, so starting off a little iffy. How are you, brother?
Doing good. Got my haircut today, so that is a good day. Few feelings as good as getting your haircut.
Blessing. I know you love to get your haircut.
But lately I've been feeling like I want to grow my hair out. And you know as well as anybody the awkward stage of getting your hair cut. And I've had the same hairdo since I was I don't know, 3 years old. My hair has looked exactly like this. So it's scary for me because if I grow my hair out for 3 weeks. If I grow my hair out for 3 weeks, Joseph, I'm Justin Bieber. Like it's full
You're
on
Justin
like
Bieber?
2013 Justin Bieber.
I don't think I
So-
believe that.
And I haven't consulted Mason about it, but I kind of want to grow my hair out as I got it cut today. So I don't know. My hair grows at an unprecedented rate. It's like 3 weeks and it has to be cut. Like it's long. But I love
Let me
my
tell you
hair
this right
cut.
here. Let me tell you this right here. If you grow your hair out for a whole month without getting it cut, I'm gonna make this deal because I know it will bother you, but I want a full month, so I need you to get your hair cut on the 31st or 30th, whatever, of 1 month, and I want you to go all the way to the next first of the next month without getting it cut. And if you do that, that's sex on the farm on me. That's what it is. Sex on the farm on me.
Sex on the farm. Your mic is a little bit screwed up.
I gotta be sick.
I hadn't had sex on the farm in a while. Sex on the farm, for those of you who don't know, it's a secret menu item at Rib City. It's just potatoes, chicken, cheese, bacon. It's like
literally-
2,000 calories.
It's just a man's dream, I feel like.
You're good, yeah.
Okay, it's just a man's dream. That's all.
But
What's
Joseph,
better than okay?
yeah, go ahead. Much better than what?
No, screw me, I guess, bro. No, I was
Well,
gonna say,
continue.
what's
Okay.
better than waffle fries? Chicken strips tossed in your priority or your preference, not priority, your preference of sauce with cheese on top and then just some ranch on the side. Like that right there is. They don't call it sex on the farm for nothing. I'll say that. It's sex on the farm. It's amazing. It's two great things of life. The farm, where you get your eggs and your cow and all your great food, and then that other thing that it starts with that you only do when you're married, of course.
Mhm.
So when those two things come together, that is what gets you sex on the farm at Rib City, and that is amazing.
But Joseph, continuing our conversation off camera, we're talking about Rainbow. I'm like,
Rainbow Six Siege.
any video game I go into, I'm decent at it. And I'm not trying to say that I'm like good, but I don't think I'm bad at like any game. Like I can
Yeah,
pick up a
see,
game and be good at it.
I know a guy who's bad at every game that we play.
There's some guys that's just them.
And he's not good at any game that we play. And it's sad. I love him to death, but he's just not. He's not good at any game that we play.
And then that guy, in order to be in the friend group for this long, because at this point nobody's getting on Xbox for the first time ever. Like this is like 15 years in the making.
100%.
So that guy has to be really funny, or just he really contributes to the conversation.
We just love him. That's all.
Yeah.
We just love him. But I will say this: do not let Britt put me in there. I don't have an Xbox. I'm straight. I have a PlayStation 5. So I don't mess around with that Xbox XZ77 or whatever they have over there. I don't know.
That's it.
All I know is PS5 is where it's at. And I'll also say this: if you're an Xbox user and you think your Rainbow Six Siege squad can beat my PlayStation squad, you've lost your ever-loving mind, and we will smack you 4-0. I'll say that right now. I may not be like the most ultra gamer boy of all time, but we will smack you in some Rainbow Six Siege. Period.
I feel like 2024 we can move past the whole console wars thing.
We almost could have, but then Xbox players had to get crazy on Rainbow Six, and I had to put them in their place.
Well, if anything, it's tied because the Xbox 360
Was elite.
is the greatest video game console that's ever lived.
I disagree.
Now the PS4,
Very controversial take.
the PS4 was probably much better than the Xbox One, and I would say now they're even.
Listen, let me tell you to like this. Let me bring it to you like this. If you are going to get a console to game, like the only thing you're going to use it for is to game, the PlayStation 5 is the easy option, in my opinion. The graphics are a little bit better. Overall, it's just a better gaming console. But if you're going to do things like watch Netflix, stream YouTube, or do anything like that, Xbox is 10 times better. So I think it's all about what you want. I think it's all about preference now. I would agree. I think they're really close. If you're just a huge gamer, I think PlayStation. If you're going to do a little bit of everything, I think Xbox. So I think it's real close.
I think what you grew up with is a big part of it too.
Yeah. The real ones went 360, PS4, PS5. That's how the real ones went. The real ones went like that. The fake ones, like Mr. Britt over here across from me, he went Xbox 360.
You need to respect.
Nah, I don't respect. You get disrespected.
You need to respect me because I took a step. So all the boys are on 360. I said, guys, it's 2013. The future is now. I sell my 360, buy an Xbox One. I'll make everybody follow because I'm a leader.
No, you was just rich. That's different. You was just rich. See, let me tell you, this is what real ones did. Real ones grew up and said, I'm not buying a PS5. That's what real ones did. Like me. I was like, nah, I ain't buying no PS5. I'm 23. I don't need no PS5. Yeah. And then Harrison Davis. Harrison, if you're listening to this, I love you, but I hate you right now while I'm talking about this. Was like, man, OG Fortnite, bro. You got to get a PlayStation 5, bro. You got to get one. We play OG Fortnite, bro. And then he talked me into it, and I got $100 off a PlayStation, and I bought one. So then all of a sudden, I dropped $400 on a PlayStation. So whatever. It was kind of worth it. We play together now. We get to talk. I think the best thing about it is that you could just spend time with your friends without having to, like, go out and be dumb. I think that's the best
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. Well, I was
This is a
I
sports
was the
podcast.
guy
And
like
we're talking esports.
I was like, I'm not getting a new Xbox. Like it's just
Me.
not happening. And then about 3 years ago, they're like, an NCAA football game might be coming out. And I'm like, okay, let's ride. Let's ride. We're getting one. We're getting one.
That's a whole nother reason I got a PS5 is because they said EA Sports was coming out with a college football game this summer, and now they're not. So screw them. Screw them for
There's
that.
a date that's been floating around.
Yeah,
in
July
July.
12th, and they said that's a lie. EA Sports came out and said that's a lie.
I didn't see that, but like the EA Sports, the account that they made the announcement on like 3 years ago, like it's not verified. They never tweet anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Makes you think. Maybe we
If
got
it was coming out in
bamboozled.
July, we would have a trailer.
100%. 100%. Because this is going to be the most hyped game since like MW3, probably. Like this is going to be the most hyped game in a long time. Do you remember? Okay, Britt, going back in time, do you remember how excited everybody was for MW3? Like that was the game amongst games. Like everybody could not wait for MW3. It was electric. What a time to be alive. What a time to be a gamer. You just strap on that little headset, me being a little squeaker. Let's go, boys. I'd get on there, just strap on the headset. I'd be like, yeah, let's go. I got to get my MSR out. Quick scope them. That's crazy.
I thought DSR.
I thought it was the MSR in MW3. No? I could be wrong. I don't know. It's been a while.
I literally, I got on the wiki for Modern Warfare 3. Like as soon as it came out, the game wasn't out yet. I memorized the wiki. I was like, these are the guns. This is the campaign. These are the missions. I wrote notes. That doesn't happen anymore. Like I remember people staying home from school because they went to the midnight release of Black Ops 2 in 7th grade.
Okay, here's a controversial take. We're about to get off of esports, but we got to hit esports for just another minute. Here's a controversial take here. A lot of people that I talk to, especially Xbox people, this is not a hate on Xbox people, but I'm just saying a lot of Xbox gamers will tell you that they think Black Ops 2 is the best Call of Duty of all time. And while I think Black Ops 2 was a very good game, Black Ops 2 is not even in my top 2. To me, it goes MW2, MW3, Black Ops 2, in my opinion. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I think as far as game preference, it just depends on what you love to do. But I loved quickscoping in MW2 and MW3. It was just so much fun. I was electric.
I think it just comes down to, in the Modern Warfare series, you have Spec Ops, which, come on, that's garbage. That's garbage. And in the Treyarch games, you have Zombies, which is like a whole nother world.
If you're going like Zombies, bro, Black Ops 2 Zombies was elite. It was so fun.
Black Ops 3 is the best Zombies.
Was
and
it
I'll
3?
die there. I'll die on that hill.
Which one had... Oh, no. Do you want to know the most fun I had playing Zombies? You're not going to believe this when I say it. The most fun I had playing Zombies was Call of Duty World at War. It was just the most elite, most pure Zombies I ever played. It was the first time I ever played Zombies. I think that's why.
A lot of people say that. A lot of older people say that.
I'm old right here. Speaking of things that suck, just like Black Ops 2, George McIntyre committed to Tennessee this last Monday? Yesterday? That was yesterday, right, Brett?
Yesterday, yep.
Yesterday, Monday. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna come out with a bold take here. Can I? Do you care, Britt, if I come out with a bold take?
I want you to.
This is super bold because you don't know much about either one of them. Like what they're going to do at the next level. But Nico, you've only seen him one game. You didn't see him make any super complex throws or anything. The day George McIntyre steps on campus, he takes the job. I think is my bold take. I think he's that good. Like I say this not wanting to say it because I think George McIntyre is that good. I think George McIntyre is absolutely amazing. When you go and watch George McIntyre and you watch him step up in the pocket, get hit by his offensive lineman, got blocked into him, and then he jumps up in the air and effortlessly throws it 40-yard or 45 yards down the field with a flick of his wrist. That is something that you just you don't see. That's Patrick Mahomes, but the kid was 6 or 17 years old. That is ridiculous. And then you watch him roll out to the right, throw it across his body against good talent. And Brentwood Academy sucked last year. Yeah, that's where he's at, right? He's at B8, right?
Yeah.
Well, how do I not remember? Yeah, he's at B8. B8 was not good last year, but he was so good. So I think George McIntyre is a really good player. But Brent, what do you think about it? I know you were excited because you said let Josh cook on Twitter.
Yeah. It's kind of a buildup of a lot of things. Tennessee's just been doing so good in the transfer portal. Picked up Lance Hurd, a guy who I broke the news. I said we were going to get him. We got him. But the exciting thing is you're set at quarterback for worst case scenario 3 years. 3 years. And even could be 4. Most likely 4, could even be 5 years. You just never know how things will play out. And your quarterback room is really elevated from, I mean, at the end of the year, you're like, okay, you've got Nico. His backup is Gaston Moore. And I mean, that is still the case going into the year. But looking like we're starting to build up towards a stronger QB room. And Josh has a top, tall, lanky quarterbacks that are mobile. I mean, he showed that with Nico and now George. But no, it's exciting. And just thinking through the roster, I was going through the roster in my head. You're really starting to stack up 5 stars. I mean, you're going to have 2 5-star quarterbacks in 25. You're going to have 2 5-star receivers in the room this year, a 5-star tackle. You're starting to load up. And what's going to happen is with George McIntyre, this 25 class is I think it's going to explode for Tennessee. And we thought it would with Nico, and it really didn't. It has improved, I think, because of Nico, but it's hard to recruit guys from California to come play at Tennessee. Now, when you're the in-state guy going to the one of the in-state SEC schools, it's going to be easier for him to recruit his buddies to come to Tennessee. And that's what's going to be huge, because then you're looking at, okay, you've got a solid 12 to 13th ranked class, but you're still 6th in the SEC. You go from that to, hey, you're a top 5 class. You're 2nd or 3rd in the SEC. And that's when the talent gap starts to
shrink,
get a little bit smaller. And when Josh Heupel came in, that was the concern. We were like, we don't think this guy can recruit, but if he ever can recruit top talent to his offense that he had at UCF, like, this guy could be seriously really good. And that's the way it is trending. I want to say trending, but it's very, very early. So I don't want to get too excited.
It's a different game too. Like Britt talked about Nico bringing guys in with him, and the same with George Mack bringing guys in with him. 5-10 years ago, they 100% bring dudes with them, like 5, 6, 7 dudes with them, 100%. Now with NIL, it's a little bit of a different ball game. I don't think it's as easy to just get your buddies to come just because of where the money's at. But
yeah,
ultimately though, like, I think when you look at what Heupel's doing, who he's getting, I think that it's impressive. It's good for Heupel for sure. And I think obviously as a Tennessee fan, you just got what I would call the best quarterback in the class, depending on where you look at. They may not say the same, but George McIntyre is a great quarterback. However, I know his grandfather is up in heaven right now, I don't know that. I hope he is though. And I hope he is looking down saying, George, we're going to have a long conversation, son. We're going to have a long conversation one day. And for those of you that don't know, George McIntyre's grandfather did coach at Vanderbilt for 7 years. So that that part was kind of like, okay. Like, but once again, I'm not one of those guys who are like, George didn't even give Vanderbilt the time of day. Dude, George McIntyre was the best quarterback in his class, and Vanderbilt has not been very good. If Franklin's still around and Vanderbilt is on the crisp, like the cuff of being from pretty good to really good. They
Yeah,
just went
when
nine
he's
and
the
four
missing
last year.
piece.
When he's the missing piece, and McIntyre didn't give us the time of day, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, okay, screw George McIntyre, but you just went 2-10. I don't really see how mad you can be at the guy. Keeping it on football news, Britt. Anything else about George McIntyre? I'm sorry.
Although I do think George McIntyre would really elevate Vanderbilt.
Oh, 100%. 100% he would. 100% he would.
And that
it only
and that
takes one
sounds
guy.
obvious when I say it, but there's more than one. There's more than a quarterback needed.
100%. Vanderbilt fired their running backs coach, Jaden Everett, yesterday, and we lost the 20th best running back in the country in the 2025 class. Caden Knighton decommitted today. I hated this move. 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 I can't say it enough. I really didn't like it at all. And I'll kind of give my reasoning behind it. So listen, Vanderbilt hired Tim Beck as their offensive coordinator to basically be the coach of the offense, right? Like, I know that sounds stupid to say. You're like, duh, that's the offensive coordinator. But literally, because Clark Lee is the DC, he's going to spend 90% of his time with the defense. Like, this dude's not going to be around the offense a lot. So Tim Beck has full control over the offense. Full control. And I'm fine with that. But you have to draw a line somewhere. And that line to me would have been Jaden Everett, who, by the way, this is just my opinion. But when you look at the SEC, or when you look at, sorry, not the SEC, when you look at coaches on any sort of staff, whether it's SEC, Big Ten, NFL, whatever, I think I'm not a football like X's and O's, like insane John Gruden guru or anything. I know the game decent at best. But I think the running backs coach is the easiest coach to coach. I guess is the easiest coach to be. Basically, you need an athlete who has good vision, and you got to be able to recruit them at the college level. If you're a good recruiter, you're probably a good running backs coach, in my opinion. Jaden Everett was doing his job. He had a 4-star coming this year, and he had a 4-star, the 20th best running back in the class coming in next year in Caden Knighton. And the day after you fire him, he decommits the next day. I think that's where you had to draw the line. You fired some other coaches, and I'm fine with that because they didn't have any elite guys coming in. But, like, how can you just be okay with losing Caden Knighton? Maybe they have a plan. Maybe they have some other guy that they know they have a good chance to get. I'm just unaware right now. Maybe it's someone better than Caden Knighton. But if it's not, like, if that doesn't come, I don't see how you support. You want to give Tim Beck control, and you brought him on to be the coach of the O, but, like, man, what are we doing, though? I don't know. I just didn't like this move at all. I really didn't.
I mean, that is kind of a tough situation.
It is a tough situation. Like, that's what I said. I don't really know what I would do, but it stinks all the way around. I mean, in the 2025 class, a lot of guys aren't committed yet, but Vanderbilt had 2 pretty good recruits committed to us in the 25 class, and we were like 10th in the SEC. Like I said, it's really early. I'm not like flexing that, but like, dude, now you're last. Like, I didn't get it. Like, you have to have these guys to be able to compete week in and week out in the SEC, and I just think it's frustrating. I'm gonna believe in this staff because I have to. It's the only option, and that's what I told someone the other day was like, I'm going to go in almost a little bit delusional this year, and I'm going to recognize it. I'm a pretty self-aware human. I'm going to be very self-aware saying that I'm a little bit delusional this year. But if I'm not a little bit delusional, I'm going to go in the season having no fun. And that's not what sports are supposed to be. Like, bro, I can't go in saying, bro, we're going to go 2-10. Like, I can't do it. It's not in me. No, ain't no way. So I'm going to believe in the staff, hope they know what they're doing, and hope they can right the ship here. Speaking of 5-star recruits, I will give a little shout out to my queen, Shay Ralph, head coach of the Vanderbilt women's basketball team. She got a 5-star, number 10 player in the nation, Michaela. I'm not 100% sure how you say it. It's one of the two. I think it's Michaela, but it may be Michaela. Bridges, I believe, is the last name. Let me just make sure I have that correct. No, I'm sorry. Michaela Blakes. She's the number 10 player in the country. She is Vanderbilt's first 5-star that we've ever gotten, to my knowledge, especially in one of the big 3 sports. I think this gives me hope for other sports too. Although girls or women seem to care a little bit more about academics than maybe males, and mostly because women, they can't make as much money professionally as men can.
Yeah.
So I know that damages them, but when you see Vanderbilt land a top 10 player, I think in any sport, I think that catches your attention. Britt, as a non-Vanderbilt fan, what do you think about that? Vanderbilt landed a top 10 player. I understand it's in women's basketball, but I still think that grabs your attention. You're like, oh crap, Vanderbilt got a top 10 player in the country. That's kind of crazy, no matter the sport.
No, it
But
does.
outside of
It
baseball.
shows what happens when you win games. And no
Amen,
matter what
Britt.
school you're at, no matter
Amen, Britt.
what conference you're in, no matter how much money you have, money is a big part. But if you win games, you will get attention from recruits.
100%. 110% agree. They've been winning games. They're 4th in the SEC right now. They kind of skidded the other day, lost a game they shouldn't have, and then lost to Tennessee. So I think Shay Ralph is doing a fantastic job. They're going to have a lot of talent next year. It's going to be fun to watch them if you're a women's basketball fan. I don't, I've watched one Vanderbilt women's basketball game this year. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'll watch all the games. Like, I'm not going to come on here and lie. So, but still, good for them. Shout out Shay Ralph. She's like the only positive thing about Vanderbilt right now. So good for her. And then baseball is soon.
Are Vanderbilt women's team called the Commodores?
We are the Commodores.
I guess a Commodore can be either. I'm not sexist.
Did you think we were the Tigerettes?
I think maybe the Lady Commodores. I don't know. The Commodorettes.
The Commodorettes. I believe we are. Dude, I'm not even going to lie. I don't know if I know. It's kind of bad. I mean, I would definitely say the Lady Commodores.
I like the Lady. I mean, not for exclusion reasons. I don't know. Maybe it is excluding, but I like the Lady Vols. The Tigerettes.
Tigerettes, I always thought was kind of hard. But you wouldn't know that at Gordonsville because our girls team, I don't know if our girls team won 7 games the whole time I was in high school. They may not even win a game
I know
a year.
they didn't when I was there.
They were terrible. They were absolutely. Can we talk about this for a second? I don't know how we got here. Well, I do, but this is pitiful. And I'm not trying to dog anybody. I mean, I had some friends that were on the basketball team. Y'all sucked. Y'all were still my friends. Y'all sucked at basketball, but y'all was my friends. And
my future wife was one of them.
Oh, crap. I forgot. Grace, I'm sorry right now. If you're listening to this, Grace, there's no way you're listening 30 minutes
she'll
in.
agree. Maybe we can have her on here to talk about it one day.
We probably do need her, but it was some of the worst basketball you'll probably ever watch in your whole entire life, and it made you want to like stab your eyeballs out. Like, it was so bad. And they didn't have a shooter. They didn't have a post. They didn't have defense. They had nothing good on the whole team.
Well, I know my class, they had 4 different coaches. One of them was my baseball coach.
Facts.
Great baseball coach. Fantastic baseball coach.
Was it your senior year that they like didn't win a game all year and then won 2 games in the district tournament? They just went off all of a sudden in districts.
I couldn't even to be honest.
One year they won like 1 game all year, and then the district tournament they just went off. I don't even know when that was, but I just remember that. I just remember they won at Trousdale and everybody acted like it was the greatest thing ever. We just hadn't won a district game since like the Great Depression, and it had been so long.
What if we did a women's high school sports podcast?
Would we get put on a list? I've ever heard. That'd be the literal worst podcast I've ever heard in my life. Like, not because it's women's, but just because it's our women's basketball team and at our high school or girls basketball team, I guess, was so bad, and it still is
The,
bad.
we would own the market, though. We would
We would own the
monopolize the
market.
entire market.
Yeah, because everyone would tune in just to hear what these two bozos had to say. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, Britt, I do have one more thing. Have you renewed your season tickets? I renewed mine this
I
week.
haven't.
I didn't know if you
I
did
have
that yet.
until February 28th to do so.
Renewed my season tickets. I bought 4 of them again. Dogs are in Section F. You already know. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back in First Bank, baby. That's all you need to know. Texas is coming to town. I'm going to give the horns down to Archie Manning. He can get off me. I'll also guaranteed be clowning Alabama fans. I'm probably bringing a poster that says something about Nick Saban. I've already been cooking up ideas in my head. Grace Leslie, you are not invited to the Alabama game if you were listening to this.
What's the stadium progress going to be? Just more construction, but just closer to being finished.
Yeah. So the end zone at the end zone that was looking good last year, the end zone that's actually behind me here. This end zone is going to be done, so you will be able to see this behind me. It will be done. And then that is the north end zone, the south end zone, which is where the scoreboard was on the cranes last year. That side will still be under construction as they finish that. That will be done before the 2025 season is underway. So we will be completely done by the 2025 season if all stays on track and goes well. And then I believe I've heard, this has not been announced yet, but I've heard that after that there will be renovations on the sides. So that is big for Vanderbilt, because if you've ever been to Vanderbilt Stadium, you know that it's just, it's not the most comfortable place to sit when you're on the sides, and the stairs are real old school. They're super thick. When you're running up there, you get a workout.
Yeah.
You run those stairs about 10 times, bro. You are done. So I'm excited.
That's interesting. Yeah, I prefer those steps over Neyland Stadium for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
The little steps suck.
The little steps do suck. I'm not a hater on Vanderbilt. Like, a lot of people totally crap on Vanderbilt Stadium, and don't get me wrong, it can 100% be upgraded, but like it's not like terrible. Like, at least I always say that, like, at least you have, and this is because lack of people, but like I've never sat at a Vanderbilt game and been like having a miserable time just because of how cramped I am. Like, I have definitely been like that at most other SEC schools that I've been to. Now, once again, I say that
every game
because I wish there were more fans in the game. I would probably trade my own luxury to clone myself times 10,000 for there to be a bunch of Vanderbilt fans there. But the only positive I have of there not being a lot of people there is that I always have a bunch of room.
And you can pace around. Go visit friends.
I always get up and go visit. It's like you're at church. I'm shaking everybody's hand.
But I will be renewing by February. I don't really know what I'm waiting on. But gonna renew the 2 in X5. I will be in X5 next year, and then hopefully
are the real ones in X5, Britt?
Yeah.
The real ones are in X5?
Me and Cody do not fit in X5. We're the youngest people in X5 by 20, 30 years.
The real ones are not in X5.
No, the south end zone in Neyland Stadium is my crowd, like wild.
Is that where we sat?
People.
Is that where we sat at the Vandy game?
That's where my season tickets were. Pruitt's second year.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, that place was rowdy. That dude just kept going, "Sit down, Vandy." Dude, just called me Vandy the whole game. I was like,
"Oh no, that was in the north end zone."
Oh, that was the north end zone. Oh,
yes.
Okay. That was right by the student section. So the student section is in the north end zone.
That was at the student section.
Yeah,
the student section is in
the section.
The student section is in the southwest end zone.
Okay, yeah, because we were sitting if we were here, we were right by where the opposing team ran out of the tunnel. That year is the year I'm talking about at the UT game.
That is the south end zone.
That place was rowdy. That place
Yeah.
was rowdy. They just everybody kept screaming at me. And if you know me at a football game, and let me say this too, if you go to a football game and you ask somebody to sit down, you are weird. Like I can't get behind that. I understand circumstances where you should be respectful and sit down. I understand that completely. I'm not trying to be a douchebag here. But for the most part, I seen someone post a game, or post a picture of a guy at the Lions game, and was like, "Mr. Stand Up" the whole game, and people were just either really defending him in the comments and being like, "I hate these guys that stand up the whole game." But a lot of people were like, "Dude, it's a playoff game. How are you not standing up? Especially if you're a Lions fan. You haven't been in the won a playoff game since the 90s. Are you dumb? If Vanderbilt was in a playoff or even an SEC championship game, I could never sit down. I literally couldn't. It wouldn't. I would be. Oh my gosh, I'd be unhinged. Oh, I would literally be unhinged, dude. Oh gosh, no one wants to see that. I would be crazy.
Yeah, I've never once told anybody to sit down.
That's
But
weird.
like
That's weird.
my seats in X5 are no, you haven't sat in them, have you?
I have sat in them, I believe. Is that not where me, you, Jordan, and Jonna sat in the UT game that year? Where
No.
the lady
That was in
front
like
of us?
Y6 or
Oh,
no, that was
okay,
in
okay.
X3.
X3,
But
okay.
where I'm at in X5, it's the lowest bowl, but we're the last row of the lowest bowl. So we've got like a rail behind us and the walkway is behind us. So I can stand up freely and there's nobody behind me.
That's money right there.
But behind the rail is like a handicap section.
Oh,
So
dang.
every other game there will be somebody like in a wheelchair or somebody with like a prosthetic leg or something.
Right.
And there's a guy that sits behind us and he's a freak. He's a legend. He's a handicap legend. Okay. And that's
Handicap
in those
legend.
cases when somebody's behind me and I'm like they physically cannot stand up. I'm
Yeah.
like I'll like do the crouch, like hands on your knees, and I'll
Yep.
turn and be like, "Are you good?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I'm like, "You just touch me if you're not good, and I will
Yeah,
sit
if you
down."
can't see, 100%. Yeah, one time at the Vanderbilt game this year, an elderly lady asked me to sit down, and I told her, I was like, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but it's third down. I'm gonna be standing up and screaming. Like, I'm sorry." I was like, "I can move over to the right. I can get in the aisle. I can bend over and put my basically what Britt said, put my hands on my knees, and just really, really try to zone into the game there, like I'm Tony Romo up in the booth." But I am not here to sit down at a football game. I'm here to be unhinged. Okay. I don't, especially at a Vanderbilt football game, we don't have a lot of people there. I've got to make up for all the people we don't have there. I got to be loud. I got to be screaming. I got to let them know. All the crazy people are going to be in Section F this year. If you are an away fan and there is one section you better not sit in, it's Section F. There are going to be, the goons are in Section F this year. Everybody's coming to Section F. It's over. You got me, you got Trevor, you got Will. Basically, that's two dudes on the door report, two absolute dogs. You've got Braden McPherson, or McPherson, as they always say on the podcast. I think that's how you actually say his name. He's a dog. Basically, all the goons. All the goons are in Section F this year. Is the Tennessee game at Vandy this year? It is.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Tennessee fans, on this podcast, you listen to this podcast, avoid Section F. I don't care. I don't care how much we're going to get beat by or what the score is going to be. Section F will still be insane. You better watch out. I'm going to say that.
I don't know, man. Joe Milton's not around anymore. You guys might have a chance to beat us.
Joe Milton. That man did play. He's equivalent. No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm not even going to say that. He's not equivalent to my
He
boy
is
Kyle Shermer.
much better than Kyle Shermer against Tennessee.
Kyle Shermer against Tennessee literally threw for 400 yards 3 years in a row. That is insane.
Oh, okay.
Dude saw
No,
orange
Joe-
and got so pissed off. I don't know.
Joe
what
threw
that
for
dude was on.
300 yards once in his career.
It was against Vandy.
It
It was against Vandy
no.
this year.
Yeah, it was in his last
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
Yes.
It was against Vandy this year. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Last year he didn't play all that well, but he didn't have, or he didn't throw like all that much, but he didn't have to. Tennessee was just running it everywhere. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
3 straight seasons, 2,500 rushing yards. That's
crazy.
that's really good.
That is good.
That's very
Tennessee's
good.
got a good running back crew. I think Vanderbilt actually, even though I was just hating on us firing our running back coach, we have a good group of running backs, a lot of talented running backs that I really like. So, but you just lost once again. I just can't believe you just let the 20th running back in the nation walk away. I can't wrap my mind around that. Like, bro, he's elite. What are we doing? But it's whatever. Can't hang your and even that. What I was going to say too about George McIntyre, I totally left out earlier. I meant to say this. Me and Britt kind of discussed this off the air. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now I posted it on Twitter. We're in the era now that like it's so hard not to get excited when you get a guy like George McIntyre, when you get a guy like Nico, when you get a guy like um Julian Fleming, when you get a guy like, all those top 5, top 10 recruits. But dude, does it really matter? Like, dude, if they're not happy in 2 years, they're leaving. Like, they're out of there. And that's just what it is. And like, I'll try to tell myself that. Like, there's no more like pouring into guys for 2 and 3 years and watching them be a dog. Like, even a guy like Kamal Hadden for Tennessee, a dude who got a lot of flack, got to come back, play well. His senior year before he ended up getting hurt, like got to play really, really well. And even like his junior year, he didn't really have a terrible season. He had a solid season. And so like, guys like him, that's probably over with. Like, if NIL what it is now, when after that South Carolina game, come on, maybe out of there. Like, it just, yeah, it's, I don't love NIL. I don't hate NIL. So.
Yeah, and Kamal Hadden was a average to above average cornerback whose career is stained by 2 really bad games. And that is unfortunate. But there's like Joe Milton, his career arc, like that's not going to happen. You're not going to see a 5-star quarterback play for 6 years. I mean,
No.
you do. JT Daniels played for 30 years until he retired. But what's up with all these guys getting like their 9th year of eligibility?
Dude, it's
Like,
crazy.
There comes a point where like I understand injuries, like that's completely out of your control, but it's your 9th year, man. I'm sorry, but it's just not working. Like you have to move on.
Yeah,
You have to move on.
the most years you should get. So you get a redshirt year, your freshman year. It doesn't have to be your freshman year, but you get a redshirt year. You can always get that. You should at least get 1 medical redshirt, and I understand in instances that you should get 2. So I think at the absolute most, it should be 7 years. Most. Like that is insane to even say that. No, 6. If you're on the team any more than 6 years, you're done for. I agree with Brett. It's time to move on, buddy. Learn Chinese, buddy. Learn to be an accountant. Your time is over, brother. I will say that there was a big debate. I'm in an SEC group chat called SEC War Room on Twitter, and that SEC podcast posted a little poll / debate platform, I guess, on if Josh Heupel was a top 5 coach in the SEC. And it wasn't just Josh Heupel. They said, is Lane Kiffin, they named a few coaches, is Steve Sarkisian. They named several. And I texted Britt and informed him the question of, hey, Britt, is Josh Heupel a top 5 coach in the SEC? Britt and me kind of agreed, kind of disagreed. As Britt gets really close, got a nice forehead there, kind of looking like Peyton Manning here. Britt,
I feel like Peyton Manning.
Britt, is Josh Heupel a top 5 coach in the SEC? And I fully expect us to get into it here. So, Britt, take off.
At this current moment, where we sit on January 23rd, 2024, I think he is borderline top 5. Borderline, because there's several arguments, and I don't agree with much of them. Like Kellen DeBoer is most likely, probably is a better coach than Josh Heupel, but he hasn't coached a game in the SEC, so they're above Josh. I put Kirby Smart above Josh. Some guys, I put Lane Kiffin above Josh. I don't think there's a big gap there. I just think Lane Kiffin is a lot flashier. Brian Kelly is Like Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin, and Josh Heupel are definitely the same tier. So I think he's borderline top 5. I think in 3 years he's top 3, and I don't think he's 3. If the recruiting trend continues the way it does, and you get quarterback play from your blue chip quarterbacks, he will be the second best coach in the SEC in 3 years.
Here is my problem with, so in the comments, this is not just me coming for Britt. I'm gonna not attack Britt, but I'm gonna bring up something that Britt said on this podcast here in just a minute. But not just him, a bunch of guys that I saw had the exact same feelings on Twitter, and then come to Heupel's like, not rescue, but for the lack of a better word, I guess rescue in the comments saying, "Oh, he's definitely a top 5 coach." This is the same coach that 4 months ago I was listening to people say, "Oh, well, I'm not saying Josh Heupel should be fired, but he just got outcoached by Billy Napier in Gainesville." Like, Billy Napier is, if not the worst coach in the SEC, he's only ahead of Clark Lee. And if he got outcoached by Billy Napier 4 months ago, he's not all of a sudden a top 5 coach just because he got George McIntyre and won the Cheez-It Bowl. And that is my rebuttal to how is he all of a sudden changed in the last 4 months? He didn't get a top 5 victory. He didn't knock off Alabama. He didn't knock off Georgia. That's where I'm kind of confused of where the switch flipped.
But not a single educated Tennessee fan that I associate with has even began to utter the words that Josh Heupel should be fired.
No, I didn't necessarily say that was said. I just I'm not saying if I recall correctly, and I could be wrong here, Britt, tell me if this is not close to what you said. Correct me where you think I'm wrong. This is your word. Okay. Or I'm quoting you to the best of my paraphrasing, I guess, was something along the lines of Josh Heupel got whipped around or beat around by Billy Napier, drug around, something of that effect by Billy Napier. If that is true, then what has changed in 4 months? That's my only question. That would be my only question.
This is where I'm scared because I don't know if somebody's going to go back and pull up what I said. Oh, if I did say that, it's because there was stakes on the line between me and Billy Napier. There was something there that I was going to have to answer for if Florida beat Tennessee. I do not think Florida outcoached. I do not think he outcoached Josh Heupel. I think Tennessee had a lot of injuries, and they came out, and Joe Milton was their quarterback, and their center wasn't there, and Kamal Hadden escorted a ETN to the end zone. I think there's a lot of different things that led to Tennessee losing that game. One, it's just Florida. They just beat Tennessee. So I, in 1,000 years, would never think that Billy Napier could even hold Josh Heupel's jockstrap when it comes to coaching football.
I don't think he can either, but he outcoached him that night. He outcoached him in the second half of that ball game, and I think that's a theme in Josh Heupel's coaching career at Tennessee thus far, is getting outcoached in the second half. It's you've seen it at least 3 times now, if not, I dare I say 4 or 5. In all of his losses,
in 3 years,
in all of his losses,
he gets outcoached 4 times.
Yeah, but so you can say that, right? But to me, you have to evaluate each game. So the talent gap between him and Vandy should win those games. Him and Kentucky should win those games. Him and South Carolina, for the most part, should win those games. Him and Mizzou, up until the last 2 years, should win those games. Mizzou's really elevated their roster in the last 2 years, so I give Missouri credit and Tennessee credit there. I don't think it's a back-breaking loss or anything. But in the games that he's lost, he hasn't necessarily lost or beat anyone that he shouldn't have beat, except for Bama. He beat Bama one time he shouldn't have beat them, 52-49. Great game plan from Josh, by the way. A lot of credit to Jalen Hyatt and Hendon Hooker as well, though. I just have to see something from Josh without a 6-year quarterback. I have to see something from Josh when he doesn't have a 25-year-old leading the offense being perfect. And that's what Hendon Hooker was. He was perfect. Dude was absolutely exceptional. He was great. Threw 2 picks, I think, his whole entire senior year. That doesn't happen often in college football. Dude was great. So I'm not ready. I said it this year going into it. I was high on Heupel. I think after this year, I'm not sold on him after losing to Florida, and then also losing to Missouri, Georgia, and Bama. Is that the 4 losses? Yeah, Missouri, Georgia, Bama. Yeah, that's the 4 losses. Which I'm not saying he should have beat Georgia anyways, or Bama to say that. But Bama wasn't like, they weren't like 2015 Bama or anything. It's not like they were absolutely unstoppable. I didn't think they were that. I guess I'm a Heupel hater now.
Yes, you are.
I'm deep myself a Heupel hater at this point.
You have to look at, and I said this before we struggled this year, and I'll say this: going 8-4 with Joe Milton is impressive, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Should have went 9-3 with Joe Milton at quarterback. But even before this year, before the 23 season, I know I said it. I know a lot of other people said it. Is we're ahead of schedule. Like, this was not supposed to be a 3-year rebuild like it has been. So to be on the doorstep of the college football playoff in year 2, that's a huge deal.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a huge deal. And when,
I don't think it takes anything away from him though.
When you're in year 2, and you outcoach the greatest coach of all time, and Nick Saban, Brian Kelly, a guy who has won, is a Hall of Fame coach. When you're outcoaching those guys who have been around for so long, and you look at the other, I don't think the SEC is very incredible at the head coaching position, especially not going into this year. I mean, when you've got Eli Drinkwitz as one of your top 7 or 8 coaches, that's not.
Also, Eli Drinkwitz, in my opinion, is a top 5 coach in the SEC. I mean, if you look at Missouri,
he's a used car salesman.
If you look at Missouri 4 years ago and look at Missouri now, they have a total different level of respect. They're a totally different football program. It is. Okay. I think Eli Drinkwitz is a top 5 top 5 coach in the SEC.
Do you know why? Cody Schrader. That's the one reason why they won 10 games this year.
Maybe. See, running backs are so replaceable throughout time. Running backs are so replaceable. I find it a lot easier to say that Josh Heupel caught lightning in a bottle with Hendon Hooker than Eli Drinkwitz rode off of Cody Schrader's coattails. I think that the most likely thing is definitely option A than option B.
When the guy this year was his first winning record in the SEC, and you're saying he's a top 5 coach.
Yeah, they just won 10 games.
When he has not won more than 6 games until this year.
They lost to LSU, who I really don't think they had any business losing to, being honest, but that's not necessarily the point. And then they lost to Georgia. That was it. Georgia, no slight to Michigan here, but if you told me that Michigan was 100% not the best team in the country, who is it? I would tell you it's Georgia. I'd say, okay, Michigan's not an option, it's Georgia. Georgia was arguably still the best team in the country, and that was their only loss.
But going into the 24 season, Josh Heupel did the same thing that Missouri did this year in 2022. How is Josh Heupel not there in the conversation too when Josh Heupel beat Alabama?
Because
Who did Missouri beat?
Drinkwitz went up to Josh and said he stands on business. That's why he's ahead of him, because he's got nuts.
Because he's a dork.
First of all, he better be ready to back it up, because saying stuff like that will get a target put on your back. Josh Heupel in Tennessee will come in ready this year, especially Heupel, because I think that just kind of hurts your manhood when someone comes up and says that to you in general. So I think they're going to come in ready. He better be ready. But regardless, that is hilarious. And that does actually rank him higher in my book. The fact that you've dropped him right on Heupel is hilarious. So Eli Drink, shout out. Can't say enough good things about you, my guy.
Let me do some research here. This is the 2024 Missouri Tiger football schedule.
All right, you want me to call them out? How I see them, way too early. I'll call them out right now. Wins and losses.
I want you to just tell me when you see a loss. When you hear a loss, say, okay, loss.
So the
Okay.
first loss, I just got to say loss, right?
Yes.
Okay, I
Okay.
got you.
Murray State at home. Buffalo at home. Boston College at home. Vandy at home. You start off with 4 home games. Texas A&M away. UMass away somehow. Auburn at home. Alabama and Tuscaloosa. That's a loss. Oklahoma at home. Away. Mississippi State away. Arkansas away.
Holy
That's
crap,
it.
that schedule's so easy. They may go 11-1. I almost said loss to Alabama, but I don't know anything
You
about
didn't say
Alabama.
loss.
I almost did, but then I was like, I don't know anything about Bama. I know who Missouri's got returning. They're returning everybody except for Schrader. I don't know anything about Bama. I don't know who their starting quarterback's going to be. You assuming it's Milrow, but Kalen DeBoer running a different offense, likes to sling it around. It may not be Milrow. So don't know who their starting quarterback's going to be. They're going to have to shift their O-line around. They just lost their 3 best defensive players with 2 more expected to hit the portal. Like, this is wow, that schedule was really favorable. At Texas A&M's also a scary game. I will
Yeah,
say
that's a
that.
tough game.
That's a tough game. You're playing, with the 12th man. I think that's a really tough game. They could go 10-2, but golly, that's a favorable schedule for Drink. I think if you're a Missouri fan, you have to really like next year's schedule. Actually,
And
I
I'm
would
not
bet.
here. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm a betting man. I was gonna say if I was a betting man, I would bet Missouri finishes second in the East. Or wait, we're not in the East and West anymore, are we? Does that start this year?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah.
This year.
I think Missouri's gonna finish top 3 in the SEC, the whole SEC. Wait, Ole Miss, Georgia. Ooh, that'd have to put them up there. Okay, top 4, top 5.
And I'm
What
not
do you know?
here at
Because you
all
don't even know
to.
enough about Ole Miss either. I mean, that's another crazy one. What do we know about them?
That's what I was about to get into. And I'm not here to hate on Missouri. Go back and listen to me talking to Skeeter. I respected Missouri when Skeeter was on here.
Skeeter's a legend.
But I was about to say with Missouri, it's different because they've done it primarily through high school recruiting, the old-fashioned way, and they've got some freaking talent. Like if there's a 5-star in the state of Missouri, they're getting at least one of them the last like 3 or 4 years. They're getting the top player in Missouri who's like an insane defensive lineman.
Yeah,
5
it's some
stars.
dog. Yeah.
And then you look at Ole Miss, they've bought. They are trying to buy their way, kind of like how Ohio State is, which is what Texas A&M did back in the day. Look, when Texas A&M bought their class, I know it was in high school, but it's kind of the same. They paid for all those guys. They were fueled to go there by money. They went. They probably should have been in the playoff. They finished 5th. Everybody was mad that they didn't get in. And then once that happened, that piece of adversity, they fell apart.
Yep.
I don't think that happens when you build a team like Missouri. Now, I obviously don't know. We've never seen college football the way it is right now. But when you get those guys out of high school like Missouri is, and there's adversity, I think they're more likely to stick around. If Ole Miss wins 10, even like 10 games this year, there's going to be guys leaving. Like Ole Miss is paying for a national championship next year.
Yep. Very similar. I think you can say the same thing about Michigan. I mean, Michigan, some guys who just brought dudes up from high school, 3-star guys, worked them, let them get freshman, redshirt freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, and they win a national title. I think, and they faced adversity this year, and they just banded together. I think it's special when you get guys that have been together for 2, 3, 4 years together, and they're just ready to rock no matter what.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a Michigan thing. It may just be a Michigan thing, but during the national championship, somebody in the crowd had a big sign, a big maize and blue sign that said, "Those who stay will be champions." And I was like, I don't like Michigan, but that is just so, I love that.
That is
That
awesome.
is so cool.
That is cool. I will not lie. Because I'm pretty sure that's what Blake Corum said. I'm pretty sure that's what his quote was his junior year. Was I'm coming back for those unfinished business. Those who stay will be champions. And maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong on that. Sorry, Brady.
I mean, both could be true.
And if I mess that up. Yeah. So, but I don't even know. I mean, we'll see what all happens. But I'm excited. I think, Britt, I haven't been to a Vanderbilt spring game in 4 years. But this year, I say we go. I want you to come with me. We will have a big time. We will go to Nashville. It will be hilarious. Because this year is the first year that I'm going into the season and have no idea what to expect. It's a new offense, new coordinator, new quarterback, new wide receivers. It's new everything. I don't know anything about this team. It's kind of special.
We'll see. I might go.
Vanderbilt going 12-0 this year, confirmed. That I should have said lost when they got to Vandy in Game 4.
I really thought you were going to.
I want to go to that Missouri game because I've heard is it Farrett Field? Is that the name of their stadium? I believe.
Yeah.
Farrett Field. Yeah, I've heard it's a cool atmosphere. I know it was against LSU this year. It was loud, but we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited for football. We're so far away from it.
We will see.
I'm
also excited.
Well,
but no, that's all I got.
Wait a second.
Oh yeah.
You know what time it is. You know what time it is, don't you?
I do, yeah.
What time is it, Britt? Oh, let's go! Verse of the week. Britt got the staple up behind him, baby.
We're at church.
We are at church. I got my little button up on. Y'all ain't ready for this right here. Scroll down here and get it. I was reading this earlier. All right, y'all ready for this? This is I like this. I like this a lot. This is gonna be Actually, you know what? I'm changing it up right now. I was gonna read something else, but for some reason this just came to my mind. I feel like I'm supposed to read. Here we go, right here. I gotta scroll down. We're gonna be in John chapter 8, verse 33. They answered him, "We are Abraham's descendants and have never been in bondage to anyone." Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm sorry. Whoops.
Hold on, y'all.
That's
the devil, man.
I swear. Here we go. John chapter 8, verse 36. Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. Let me tell y'all this right here. Let me preach for a second. Let me preach for just a second. If you got something going on in your life, you got anxiety, you got depression, you got whatever going on, that is rooted because you do not have a good relationship with God. You may not want to hear that right now. You can be like, Joseph, but let me tell you, Satan gets us right here. Satan gets you right here in your mind. This is the battle that's the hardest battle every day, your mind. When Satan gets up here in your own thoughts, that's when he gets you. The only person that remembers your mistakes and your sins are you and Satan. As soon as you ask for forgiveness, God throws those things into his sea of forgetfulness. Okay, he limits his ability. He says, I know I'm God and I could remember that forever, but I'm not going to. I'm throwing that away. I'm casting that out. You can be set free, free indeed, today. If you turn your life over, not only let Jesus be the Savior of your life, but let him be the Lord. Let him make your decisions. Your life will be so much better. You'll have so much a better attitude on life. So just remember that. John 8:3-6. To whom the Son sets free is free indeed. That's all I got.
It says, and that's already done. It says is.
Yeah. Amen.
You just got to accept it.
Indeed. And I almost quoted off the wrong verse there. Satan trying to mess me up. Well, hey, everybody, thank you for listening. It has been myself, Joseph West, and Britt Dillard here on Where's the Line. We hope you guys have a great one. It's back, baby. Anchor down.
Go Vols. Goodbye.
Goodbye.